Hello, and welcome to IT 130 Multimedia and the Web, offered by Coopersmith Career Consulting. This is the crash course video. This is a self-study course which will provide you an in-depth explanation to the features of Adobe Dreamweaver using HTML5, cascading style sheets, and XML. We're going to introduce you to the fascinating program that will hopefully inspire you to create rich and exciting websites. The fundamentals of web servers, websites, HTML, XHTML, and web authoring will also be presented in the context of using the technology to craft a message for an audience. Hopefully by the end of this crash course video, you will be prepared to take your final exam. Your grade for this course is based solely on a final examination. These questions will be drawn randomly from a large test bank which will consist of over 500 questions and are distributed equally among short answer, true and false, multiple choice, and scenarios. You're going to have a total of 3 hours to complete this exam, and you will receive your grade within 7 days. All of this information can also be found in your syllabus. The chapters are divided among 13 different areas, and then we'll do a review and final exam preparation. The 13 chapters of your text will explore the many options Dreamweaver provides for creating dynamic websites. You'll also work with many of the new exciting features to this release of the software, which is version 6. Here's a high-level overview of the course goals. These specific objectives are also outlined in your syllabus, and will introduce you to skills from basic to intermediate using Dreamweaver to create polished, professional-looking website, and what makes an effective and poorly designed website, and be able to critically evaluate them. You will also demonstrate the use of a professional website development tool, and in this case, that's Adobe Dreamweaver CS6. Our textbook for this course is Adobe Dreamweaver CS6 Revealed by Sherry Bishop. There are a few web development and design foundation key concepts that we're going to want to cover before we jump into the use of Dreamweaver. One of those is the reason for internet growth. Tim Berners-Lee at CERN was able to develop what we now know as the World Wide Web. Mosaic was also the first graphics-based web browser, and that was developed at the NCSA around the same time as Tim Berners-Lee. Personal computers are also increasingly available and affordable, and the online service providers offered a low-cost connection to the internet. Additionally, the World Wide Web grew to be the graphic user interface, or GUI, we use to store information on computers running web servers that are connected to what we call the internet. We have web standards that is developed by the W3C consortium. They develop any kind of recommendations and prototype technologies related to the web, and they produce the specifications or recommendations to standardize web technologies globally. One of the things that they're in charge of is what's called the WAI, or the Web Accessibility Initiative. When we're talking about web accessibility, we have a law called the American with Disabilities, or ADA Act. This prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. And Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act requires that government agencies have to give individuals with disabilities access to information technology that's comparable to the access available to others. Because of this, as web designers, we need to make sure that our websites are accessible to all parties. Here's just a basic overview of what's happening when we're connecting to the internet or the World Wide Web. You have two components. One is called the client, and that's going to be your web browser on your personal computer or whatever device you're using to access it, and the server, which is what we call the web server. As you can see, the information goes from your browser to request information from the server, and then the server responds to this request. The web client is connected to the internet when needed, and it usually runs what we call a client configuration, which is your web browser software. These are going to be things such as Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari. It uses what we call HTTP, which is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What it does is it requests the web page from the server, and then the web pages in HTML format and those supporting files back from that web server. The web server is continuously connected to the internet, and it runs web software such as Apache or the Internet Information Server program. It uses also HTTP, and it receives a request for the web page from the browser. It responds to this request and then will transmit the status code, the web page, and any associated files. We have what are called Internet protocols, and these are the rules that describe the methods used for clients and servers to communicate with each other over the network. There's no single protocol that makes the Internet or the web work, and there's a number of protocols with specific functions that are needed. One of the most popular protocols on the Internet, however, is what we call FTP. This stands for File Transfer Protocol, and it is a set of rules that allows files to be exchanged between the computers. Web developers commonly use FTP to transfer web page files from their computers to web servers, and it's also used to download programs and files from other servers to individual computers. So when you're using TCP, or a transmission control protocol, the purpose is to ensure the integrity of communication. This will break your files and messages into individual units called packets. And as you can see in the graphic here, all packets are sourced with a header, and then the data comes after that. The header will have the source, the destination, and a checksum for accuracy contained in it before it transmits that data. We also have what's called a Uniform Resource Identifier, or URI. This identifies the resource on the Internet, and one of the terms that you're going to hear quite frequently is URL. This is the Uniform Resource Locator. This is a type of URI which represents the network location of a resource such as a web page or a graphic file or an MP3 file. As you can see here, the protocol is first listed. On the Internet, that most likely is going to be an HTTP or an HTTPS. Next is the web server computer name. This is going to be identified by www for the World Wide Web, and then whatever the domain name is. In this example, the domain name would be webdevbasics.net. Now that we have covered some of the key concepts, we want to get into the required resources for this course. The first is going to be your textbook, Adobe Dreamweaver CS6 Revealed by Sherry Bishop. You can rent it for a fairly low cost at bookbyte.com. There's also free resources to complete your textbook activities, which can be downloaded for free from cengagebrain.com. You're going to also need the web development software program, and in this case, it's Dreamweaver CS6. You can get the entire Adobe Creative Suite, which includes Bridge, Fireworks, Flash, Dreamweaver, Photoshop, Illustrator, and more, and these can be downloaded from adobe.com. You can sign up for a 30-day free trial, or you can subscribe to the Adobe Creative Cloud. Lastly, you will need a web development account on a live web server. There's several free resources out there, and the one we recommend for this course is host-ed.net. If you do not have your own domain name that you would like to host, you're going to want to select the I want to use a free subdomain after clicking the Order Now button. This course is designed to provide basic and in-depth material that not only educates but will also encourage you to explore the nuances of this exciting program. The text allows you to work at your own pace through step-by-step tutorials, and throughout the initial chapters you will be given precise instructions regarding saving your work. You should feel that you can save your work at any time,